A cold wind blows across the frozen landscape, leaving lonely footprints in the endless snow. A young warrior takes a final, determined breath. He has reached the throne room at the heart of the Ice Palace. After a long journey, he stands before his final target. His boot presses down on the beast he just defeated. He declares an end to a 20-year war and is intent to conquer the world. The Ice Witch on her throne seems entirely unbothered. She scoffs at his grand, ridiculous proclamation. For 1,000 years, no one has left her domain alive. She gathers the chilling power of winter in her hand, and she promises he will be no exception. A storm of massive ice shards materializes around her. She's not exactly the let's talk it out type. The witch vows to make him regret ever stepping foot here. Our hero looks up at the impossible barrage descending on him. He moves like a blur, dodging the first lethal projectiles. His focus is absolute, his expression grim. He weaves through a deadly dance of ice and death. The speed of her assault is almost overwhelming. He realizes each spear is strong enough to pierce his defenses, and there are simply too many to count. He takes a glancing blow, the cold stinging his skin. If he can't block them, he'll just have to outrun them. Using a special technique, he practically flies through the air. But the icy rain shows no sign of stopping. He must close the distance before she unleashes her next attack. The witch's patience has officially worn thin. She begins chanting, calling on ancient spirits for more power. But our boy charges forward, screaming his defiance. She meets his charge with an ethereal glow of her own. A clash of wills, her icy calm versus his burning rage. The throne room explodes in a storm of red and blue energy. She looks down with contempt. He glares back with defiance. But her power is absolute, sending him flying backward. He's slammed onto a massive shard of ice, the impact jarring him. He realizes her casting speed is on another level entirely. Yeah, maybe conquering the world won't be a walk in the park. The witch pauses, wanting to ask one final question. She knows he's an invader who sacrificed everything to get here, but she simply can't understand his reason for challenging her. He scoffs at the very idea of needing a reason. For him, the demonic cult's rule is the only reason that matters. His conviction is etched into his very being. He cannot let the sacrifices of his comrades be in vain. For the first time, a flicker of surprise crosses her face. He unleashes the full force of his demonic power. Annoyed, she prepares to end his futile resistance. But our boy rises, ready to unleash his final technique. He becomes a living meteor of pure destructive energy. The witch scoffs, gathering her own power to meet his. She refuses to be defeated by a mere mortal. A colossal wall of ice rises to intercept his descent. He's shocked she's on the defensive, but he sees her fear. She underestimated him, and this move will be her last mistake. The unbreachable wall begins to crack under the strain. His ultimate attack, the descent of the heavenly demon, shatters it. The throne room is consumed by a blinding light. He breaks through her guard, landing a decisive, fatal blow. He holds her very life force, declaring his conquest complete. The Ice Witch accepts her fate, ready for the long rest. But with a final surge of defiance, she refuses to go down alone. The ice in her heart becomes a weapon of last resort. Our hero's victory is cut short by disbelief. He can't believe she's still fighting with a fatal wound. She tells him it's too late to escape their shared fate. A final blinding light erupts, consuming them both. He realizes her plan too late, mutual destruction. As his consciousness fades, he struggles to hold on. He refuses to die before he sees her fall. Through blurry eyes, he sees a faint smile and believes he's won. But his greatest regret is not witnessing her final moment. His grand conquest ends here, frozen in time. Yet his fading will is drawn to a burning, familiar power. He remembers his life as the heavenly demon, leader of thousands. For him, martial arts were the very meaning of his existence. In the endless void, that obsession was his only proof of life. After an eternity, a rhythmic heartbeat pulls him from the darkness. He finds himself floating in a strange, new reality. It's warm, comfortable, and definitely not the afterlife he expected. As his senses return, he feels a sudden kick. He realizes with a jolt that he is not alone. The heavenly demon is about to be a twin? For the first time, he considers the idea of having a sibling. In his past life, he was utterly alone, an orphan abandoned to the streets, until the demonic cult took him in, forging him into a weapon. That was the bloody first step on his path to conquer the world. But now, he might have a family he can actually trust. He smirks, thinking his new sibling is lucky to have him. A new life begins. The heavenly demon's new life begins with a cry, but as his senses return, he feels a strange presence. A familiar chill seeps deep into his bones. He sees his new mother and another newborn beside him. This one has distinct snow-white hair. His eyes widen in utter disbelief. It's her. the ice witch he fought to the death. He can't help but laugh at this cruel twist of fate. To be reborn as siblings with his greatest enemy. He vows that this time, his revenge will be absolute. The doctors just think the two are smiling sweetly. Oh, the irony. He remembers the power he once commanded, the legendary sword god, the deadliest assassin to ever walk in the shadows, the unparalleled master of the poison arts, and the indomitable master of external arts. With his 4 guardians, he conquered entire worlds. And now, he's a baby in a bear costume. This might be the greatest challenge he's ever faced. A door creaks open, heralding a new kind of terror. His new mother approaches, her smile a terrifying sight. He silently begs for this particular ordeal to end. She calls him Uram, praising his stoic nature. The conqueror of worlds can't even control his own bowels. But his will to dominate remains unbroken. 100 days have passed since his rebirth with his sworn enemy. His sister, Yuri, seems to be enjoying her peaceful new life. But he has been busy rebuilding his power from scratch. He begins his meditation, gathering demonic energy, but his concentration is shattered by a sudden wail. His training is interrupted by parental affection, the ultimate debuff. He realizes this was no coincidence. It was a cheap trick by his sister to disrupt his training. But Uram is already vowing to continue. His will to surpass her remains unbroken. He realizes he must train his body as well as his mind. There isn't a single moment to waste. He believes victory belongs to the one who can do a handstand in a crib. His sister, however, seems entirely unimpressed. 4 years pass in the blink of an eye. Their mother leaves them alone to play. The moment she's gone, Uram drops the charade. Yuri looks up, feigning innocence. He declares it's finally time to settle their unfinished business. She tells the 4-year-old conqueror to act his age. But he's not here to play, he's here to set the record straight. First, he reminds her that he was the victor in their last life. He scoffs at the very idea of debating the point. Instead, he decides to strike first. His fist connects with a stuffed rabbit. Yuri uses her toy as an improvised shield. He dodges her counterattack with practiced ease. The poor rabbit takes the brunt of his assault. But Yuri has a point of her own to make. Unlike him, her power isn't limited by a child's body. She animates the toys around them, turning them into a small army, a fluffy, adorable, and surprisingly effective ambush. Uram is quickly overwhelmed by the plushy onslaught. With the battle won, she makes her final point. She forbids any life-or-death battles between them. In this life, she declares, they are family. He questions her acceptance of this new life. Yuri listens, her expression unreadable. She declares their past irrelevant and demands he call her older sister. A demand the former heavenly demon is not about to accept. Later that night, the house is quiet. But while Yuri sleeps peacefully, Uram's mind is racing. He can't understand her sudden change of heart. The ruthless witch he fought would never have shown such mercy. A sudden realization begins to dawn on him. Is it because he's too weak, or does she truly see him as family? He watches her, searching for an answer in her sleep. But Yuri is lost in a nightmare of her own. A past life filled with endless, brutal conflict. She was forced to make impossible choices, sacrificing the one person she held most dear. The weight of those memories still haunts her, but she reminds herself that this life is a new beginning, a chance to have the family she never had, and she vows to protect this peace at all costs. Meanwhile, Uram begins his own intense training regimen. He realizes he must rebuild his physical prowess from the ground up. Unlike Yuri, whose magic is unaffected by her small body, his current physical limits are frustrating, to say the least. But his resolve to surpass her is stronger than ever. He decides to begin the legendary Hell Arts training. To master the heavenly demon divine art, he needs internal energy. In his past life, that much power made one a top master. To accumulate that energy, he must first form a core. He focuses, adapting his techniques to this new, unfamiliar body. He sinks into a deep meditative state, feeling a special connection. He knows the energy point at the spine should open first, but for some reason, the one at the top of his head opens instead. His new body adapts, granting him not 1 but 2 energy cores. The heavenly demon's power begins to stir once more, but his training is interrupted by a new kind of hell. Kindergarten. Yuri, ever the actress, plays the part of a happy child perfectly. His mother calls for him, unaware of his internal struggle. Uram drops his bag, a small act of grand defiance. He informs his mother that he has surpassed the need for formal education. She can only apologize for her son's unique personality. The teacher tries to encourage him to make friends, a truly horrifying prospect, but a chilling telepathic warning comes from his sister. He He realizes he's been cornered by a 4-year-old, and so the conqueror of worlds is shipped off to school. He vows to endure this humiliation for now. His solitude is immediately broken by an unwanted greeting. A young girl asks the ancient demon lord if he wants to be friends. He responds with the cold etiquette of a 966-year-old tyrant. His first attempt at socializing ends in tears. Hers, not his. He learns to multitask, feigning boredom while secretly cultivating power. At night, he unleashes his true nature, training his body relentlessly. With 2 cores, he pushes himself far beyond any normal child's limits. Time passes, and the family welcomes a new member. Yuri is ecstatic to finally be an older sister. They gather around the newest addition, a baby girl named Yuna. Senses no power from her, confirming she's just a normal baby. But this makes him wonder if there are other reincarnators out there. He suspects someone else might be thinking the exact same thing. Later, he's called out to a secluded location by his sister. He's always ready for a duel, but he senses this is different. Yuri's expression is heavy with a sudden, serious concern. She places something in his hand, telling him to take it. He opens his palm to find a simple, unassuming ring. Is immediately suspicious of this strange gift. She explains her fear that they might not be the only reincarnators. The ring suddenly flares with a brilliant blue light. It's a dimensional portal, a tool for instant escape if needed. She confirms Yuna is normal and tasks him with protecting her. He questions her sudden and ominous sense of urgency. She simply states it's their duty as older siblings. With a final warning to behave, she walks away like a true big sister. But Uram's focus remains singular, regaining his former glory. He doesn't care about other reincarnators or the mundane life of school. His only goal is to reclaim the power he once held. Years fly by, and his resolve has only sharpened with age. Even in the classroom, he secretly cultivates his demonic energy. The power of the heavenly demon gathers within him once more. He finally reaches a new milestone in his internal energy. At 17, his growth is impressive for a mortal, but it's a pale shadow of his past life. He needs a real challenge. And it seems high school is ready to provide one. A group of bullies corners another student demanding favors. The boy, Dongkyu, insists he has no money to give them. The lead bully picks up a broom, his intentions clear. He threatens to use force to get what he wants, but a hand intercepts the blow, stopping it cold. The bully whirls around, furious at the interruption. His entire crew looks on in surprise. Calmly introduces himself as the boy's classmate. He realizes that no matter the world, some things never change. The lead bully demands to know who dares to interfere. Reflects on how the weak are always targeted. It reminds him of his own past as a helpless child, a life spent being looked down on and shunned. He realizes that in this, the 2 worlds are exactly the same. The other bullies mock him, identifying him as the class rep's brother. The blonde student tries to wrench his hand free from Uram's grip, but the former heavenly demon's hold is like a vice. He easily blocks the bully's clumsy attempt to strike him. A simple leg sweep is all it takes to send him off balance. The bully goes down, completely caught by surprise. Stands over him, looking utterly unimpressed. The rest of the crew finds the whole thing hilarious. One girl even starts recording for her social media feed. Turns his back on the fallen student. He walks toward the others, who suddenly look nervous. He stops in front of the boy he just saved and offers a hand to help him to his feet. But the peanut gallery has some choice words for him. The girl is shocked when he seems to hear her whisper. The biggest of the group tries to sound intimidating. Asks if he needs to repeat his insult. He calls them what they are, pieces of trash. The lead bully gets up and lunges with a kick. He throws a wild punch, screaming in fury. Uram's eyes glow, asking if that's all he's got. The bully has no idea what he's just walked into. Uram moves with impossible speed, countering the attack. He lands a decisive kick, sending the bully flying, and pins him to the ground, ending the fight instantly. The rest of the crew can only stare in disbelief. Stands over his opponent, completely unfazed. He declares this wasn't even worth calling a warm-up. But the commotion has attracted some unwanted attention. His sister Yuri arrives, demanding to know what's going on. The girl with the phone quickly points the finger at Uram. Looks on, thoroughly annoyed by this whole situation. The bullies gloat, confident their video evidence will seal his fate. But Yuri has a different way of handling evidence. A flash of blue energy, and the phone screen shatters. She calmly tells everyone to return to their seats for class. Watches his sister, the master of subtle threats. The big bully isn't ready to let it go, vowing revenge. Dongkyu, however, is just grateful for the save. Later, the 2 reincarnated siblings have a private chat. Yuri asks if he was just looking for an excuse to fight. Insists he was just defending a classmate from bullies. She tells him this world is different and he needs to adapt. But the former heavenly demon sees no difference at all. He argues that ignoring injustice isn't adapting. If that's the case, he'll just change the world himself. Meanwhile, Donkyu is left feeling utterly humiliated. The bullies regroup, nursing their bruised egos and plotting. The blonde leader is furious, vowing this isn't over. His friends admit Uram was tough, but he claims he was just caught off guard. The big guy decides it's time to call in reinforcements. They agree that overwhelming numbers are the only answer. To ensure their plan works, they find their leverage. They corner the terrified Donkyu once again. He's given an ultimatum. Bring Uram to them or face the consequences. The next day at school, the atmosphere is tense. Donkyu nervously approaches Uram's desk. He stammers out a thank you for what happened earlier. As a token of his gratitude, he offers to buy Uram a meal. But Uram can see the fear hidden behind his words. He knows Donkyu is being forced to set a trap. Uram plays along, enthusiastically accepting the invitation. He whispers that he knows it's a setup, playing 4D chess with teenagers. Donkyu is floored, realizing his deception was seen through. He reluctantly leads Uram to the designated meeting spot. The bullies are waiting, confident in their numbers. The green-haired lackey steps forward to greet their guest. Uram looks around, asking if this is the famous snack spot. The bullies mock him, realizing he was lured here under false pretenses. But Uram confirms he knew all along they were just trash. The leader asks if the kid has some kind of death wish. Uram tells them to hurry it up. He can't be late for dinner. The sun sets, casting long shadows over the alleyway. The former heavenly demon stands alone, completely surrounded. The first thug charges in, screaming a furious battle cry. Uram dodges with his hands still casually in his pockets. The bully is stunned by his impossible, effortless speed. He ducks under another wild swing without breaking a sweat. His eyes narrow, ready to finally strike back. A single, precise uppercut connects with the leader's jaw. The rest of the crew can only watch in disbelief. Uram adjusts his tie and invites the rest to try their luck. Enraged, the entire group charges him all at once. He meets their reckless rush with a swift, disabling kick. Another follows, a blur of motion taking down a second opponent. He weaves through the crowd, a blur of controlled chaos. Another precise kick sends a thug to the ground. The blonde leader roars, throwing a desperate punch. But Uram stops the attack with casual indifference. His grip is like steel, crushing the bully's confidence. A flurry of blows lands before the boy can even react. He stands over the wreckage of their failed ambush. Uram admits he might have gotten a little carried away. Just a little. The remaining few can't believe what they're seeing. He beckons them forward, asking why they've stopped. But they can only hesitate, their bravado completely gone. Uram tells them this is exactly why he despises them. They prey on the weak but crumble before real strength. He calls them children playing at being gangsters. In a last-ditch effort, one of them grabs a metal pipe. He swings with everything he has, screaming in rage. Uram doesn't even flinch at the incoming weapon. He catches the pipe mid-swing, stopping it dead. The impact doesn't even make his hand tremble. He reminds the boy that a weapon like this can be fatal. The bully's face drains of color, realizing his mistake. A simple twist of the wrist brings him to his knees. The boy is so terrified he completely loses his composure. Uram decides it's time to teach them all a proper lesson. The rest of the crew can only watch, paralyzed by fear. The next day, rumors are already flying around the school. Word is that the local thugs got completely dismantled. And the craziest part? It was all done by one person. A student recounts seeing the aftermath from a distance. Another girl wonders if it was the quiet kid, Uram. Yuri can't help but be a little impressed by the rumors. Elsewhere, Uram sits with the boy he just saved. He tells Donkyu that his bully problem is officially over. Donkyu has to ask if the stories about him are true. Uram claims he just had a very persuasive conversation. Yeah, right. He tells the boy not to spread such silly rumors, but Donkyu is overwhelmed with guilt for involving him. Uram grabs him, insisting the bullies are the only pathetic ones here. Donkyu warns him that these guys have dangerous connections. He's terrified that Uram will be targeted because of him, but the former heavenly demon looks entirely unbothered. He tells Donkyu to relax. Thugs like that are beneath his notice. Donkyu admits he's always been a loner, and that Uram is the first person to ever defend him. Uram reveals that Donkyu is the first friend he's made in this life. Donkyu is stunned by the unexpected declaration. He then asks if Uram's dramatic speech patterns come from comic books. Later that evening, the family gathers for dinner. It's a rare moment of peace for the two reincarnated rivals. Their younger sister, Yuna, wages a familiar war against vegetables. Their mother uses her older siblings as role models for healthy eating. Their father asks the twins about their day at school. Yuna proudly brags about Yuri's academic achievements. The question is then passed on to Uram. He casually mentions he restored justice and made a friend, an accomplishment he deems far greater than any school award. After dinner, the siblings go their separate ways. Their parents are left to clean up, the mother looking worried. She's concerned that Uram has no plans for his future. But their father advises patience as Uram continues down his own path. His mother worries he's getting into trouble again. He's been summoned by a new group of troublemakers. Uram is unimpressed, immediately questioning their motives. The pink-haired leader seems pleased by his directness. He suggests they take their conversation somewhere more private. Uram, never one to back down from a fight, readily agrees. They move to a secluded clearing, far from prying eyes. The perfect place for a friendly chat or a beatdown. He warns them that if he gets serious, they'll regret it. But the leader cuts him off with a single, shocking question. Uram is stunned. His sister's fears were real after all. His reaction is all the confirmation the stranger needs. Without warning, the silver-haired man unleashes a powerful attack. The force of the blast sends the two men flying backward. Uram is taken aback by the sheer power on display. The leader gathers his own energy, eager to test Uram's strength. The sudden surge of power startles the nearby wildlife. The air itself crackles with the energy of the coming fight. The two clash, Uram blocking a fist charged with raw power. He realizes Yuri's warning about other reincarnators was spot on. He lands a solid blow, but his opponent seems unfazed. The leader taunts him, noting his attacks lack focus. Uram realizes this new foe is channeling chi into his strikes. He mocks Uram, asking where his earlier confidence went. They trade blows in a blur of motion and crackling energy. Uram assesses his opponent, finding him skilled but not overwhelming. The silver-haired observer declares the fight a disappointment. Deciding to end it, the leader prepares a finishing move. But Uram is ready to counter, his own power gathering. He recognizes the stance as martial arts and demands to know who they are. The leader offers a simple trade. Answers for a fight. He unleashes a devastating punch charged with raw energy. The attack misses, carving a trench into the earth behind Uram. The silver-haired man watches the aftermath, seemingly unimpressed. But Uram has already moved, a blur of motion avoiding the blow. The attacker feigns concern, asking if he overdid it. But his eyes betray a flicker of genuine shock. Uram stands his ground, demanding they finally answer his question. The pink-haired leader can't believe he dodged it so easily. He grins, finally realizing this isn't your average after-school brawl. Uram, however, is quickly losing his patience. The leader charges in again, closing the distance in an instant. He tells Uram that answers are earned, not given. Two fists, crackling with power, are about to collide. But Uram catches the blow, stopping it dead in its tracks. His own demonic energy begins to flare, a sinister red glow. The silver-haired man steps in, stopping his partner's reckless attack. The pink-haired brawler is annoyed by the interruption, but his partner reminds him of their true mission. He apologizes for the test, but Uram cuts him off, demanding the truth. The silver-haired man gives a knowing, calculating smile. He introduces them as Hunter Hall, an organization of reincarnators. Uram is stunned, asking how they could have possibly known. The man explains that his fighting prowess was a dead giveaway, and his reaction to their questions sealed the deal. He reveals their purpose is to eliminate the competition. He explains the world is full of reincarnators vying for power. Uram realizes his sister was right, and his old guardians might be here too. They offer him an invitation to join, the only way to get more info. But the former heavenly demon scoffs at the very idea. He declares he doesn't work for anyone weaker than him. The pink-haired brawler clenches his fist in annoyance. But the silver-haired leader just throws his head back and laughs. He muses that some people just never learn their place, and decides it's time to teach Uram a lesson in respect. But Uram's demonic energy flares, ready for the challenge. The sudden clash of power sends birds scattering into the sky. Later that night, the city is quiet. Yuri walks home, lost in her studies. She laments the struggles of being a normal high school student. Oh, the horror. A system that judges you on things that don't matter. But she's not alone. Uram has been waiting for her. He tells her that's just the way this world works. He then drops the bomb. They're not the only reincarnators. Yuri's reaction is a surprisingly calm, "So what?" Uram is stunned by her indifference, calling her by her old title. But his use of the name witch makes her snap. Uram is left speechless by her sudden outburst. She declares she's just an ordinary girl now, and she'll protect this new life even from him. The next day, it's back to the grind of high school. Uram walks through the classroom, lost in thought. He sits at his desk, contemplating his sister's words. He realizes she's truly content with this peaceful life. His thoughts are interrupted by his new friend, Dongkyu. Dongkyu offers him an earbud, a simple gesture of friendship. Uram reluctantly accepts, putting it in his ear. He listens, the music a strange new experience for him. His eyes widen, the melody striking an unexpected chord. The song's lyrics transport him back to his old world. The music evokes a memory of him standing on a mountain peak with his army. He remembers his grand declaration to conquer the world. His followers were all too familiar with his daily motivational speeches. The lyrics speak of shared dreams and promises never to be forgotten. Snapping back to the present, Oram asks who wrote this impossible song. Dongkyu shows him a video of a popular idol singing on stage. The performance is captivating, the singer's voice full of emotion. He explains it's a famous girl group called Fairy. But Oram feels an uncanny sense of familiarity as he watches the lead singer. Dongkyu explains the center, so Yiryan is the most popular member. And more importantly, she wrote and composed the song herself. He adds that she's a foreign member, famous in multiple countries. Oram realizes the lyrics are the exact words of a speech he gave his disciples. This can only mean one thing. So Yiryan is one of his reincarnated followers. He wonders if one of his loyal disciples became an entertainer just to survive. He immediately asks Dongkyu where he can meet this girl. With a determined smile, Oram decides they're going right now. Dongkyu is a little stunned by his sudden urge to skip class. Priorities, man. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of Hunter Hall, a door is violently blasted off its hinges. The two agents who tested Oram are sent flying across the room. The impact echoes through the pristine corporate office. A massive red-haired man looms over them, furious at their failure. The pink-haired brawler and his partner can only endure the fallout. He tries to explain Oram's strength, but his boss isn't hearing any excuses. The boss threatens them, but a new voice tells him that's enough. He looks up to see a young boy watching from an upper balcony. The boy wisely points out that for people like them, age is just a number. The agents recognize him as their branch chief and confirm Oram's immense power. The branch chief decides it's time to meet this powerful newcomer in person. With a flash of light, the branch chief lands before his subordinates. He sends them flying with a wave of his hand, scolding their incompetence. He grabs the silver-haired agent, furious they underestimated their target. He decides to handle this personally, seeing Oram as too valuable to lose. He orders his men to find any leverage they can, family, friends, anything. The red-haired boss can only bow his head and accept the command. The scene shifts to a quiet city street at night. A lone girl with white hair walks down the sidewalk. She reflects on the fact that she and her sister are not alone in this world. We flash back to a different time, a simple camp under a full moon. A much younger version of the white-haired girl walks through the camp. She clutches something to her chest, her expression determined. She sneaks past the other campers, heading toward a specific tent. The young girl, Suya, approaches the light spilling from the tent flap. She enters, calling out to her older sister. The red-haired girl, Lena, confirms she brought the supplies they needed. Lena promises to show her something amazing as they leave the camp. Their journey takes them to a desolate, snowy field. A lone rat sniffs the air, searching for scraps. But it's not alone. A massive centipede crawls nearby. The rat wisely decides to make a run for it. But a skeletal hand slams down, trapping the fleeing creature. A cloaked, ghoulish figure has caught his next meal. He prepares to cook the rat with a ball of fire. But a child's voice calling out "Grandpa" stops him cold. He turns to see the two young girls approaching him. Lena greets the old man, asking if he's been waiting long. The cloaked figure can only drool, overjoyed to see them. Lena explains that he must be hungry, as no one shares food with him. But her younger sister asks why he lives alone, earning a sharp rebuke. Lena introduces her younger sister, the quiet girl named Suya. The cloaked man is overjoyed, repeating the girl's pretty name. He offers to tell them his story, conjuring a small, warm flame. The memory fades, and Yuri wonders if her life could have been different. If she had never learned magic in her previous life. Her thoughts are interrupted by a figure waiting near her home. She confronts the young boy, demanding to know what he's doing. The boy seems surprised, mentioning he was looking for a male target. Yuri's eyes glow, sensing a dangerous power from the stranger. Her hand crackles with blue energy, ready for a fight. She summons a complex magic circle, preparing a powerful spell, and declares herself the older sister, a warning to back off. The sudden surge of power attracts a feline observer, who seems completely unimpressed by the light show. Typical, the energy swirls around them, forming a massive dome. A powerful barrier seals them off from the outside world. The boy is impressed, noting the difficulty of such a spell. He realizes his intel about Uram's family was completely wrong. Yuri demands to know who he is and why he's at her house. He tries to play it cool, offering her a place in their organization. But she's in no mood for recruitment pitches, demanding answers. He correctly guesses that Uram hasn't told her anything yet. She cuts him off, warning that his life depends on his next words. The boy just smirks, complaining about the attitude of reincarnators. His own power begins to flare, a golden aura surrounding him. He believes a show of force is the only language they'll understand. Yuri takes his posturing as an answer, gathering her own energy. The boy lunges, ready to see if her power matches her arrogance. The two powerful beings clash in the quiet suburban street. The scene shifts back to the past, under a cold, starry sky. The memory continues, showing a young girl's first success with magic. The girl, Suya, proudly shows her sister and mentor her new skill. The cloaked man praises both her and her red-haired sister, Lena. He explains Lena has a fire spirit, while Suya commands one of ice. Their mentor is genuinely shocked by their natural talent. Suya asks if this means they can finally become mages. Lena dreams of becoming imperial mages so they'll never go hungry. But Suya has a more innocent hope. To find her lost parents, Lena asks if she still misses the family that abandoned her. She scoffs at the idea, quickly changing the subject. Some wounds clearly run deep. Back in the present, the branch chief gathers his own power. He unleashes a volley of shining arrows. The attack barrels towards Yuri at incredible speed, but she counters with a hastily summoned wall of ice. She stands behind her shield, asking if that's all he's got. The boy promises this is just the beginning of her problems. He launches another attack, a massive blade of pure light. Yuri calls upon the spirits of ice, gathering her own power. A magic circle appears, reinforcing her icy defense. The blade shatters against her shield, leaving her unharmed. She mocks his attack, questioning his supposed superiority. The branch chief finally decides to get serious. He admits he was going easy on her, but now must end her life. A massive wave of golden energy erupts from his body. With glowing red eyes, he promises to guide her to her death. Spooky kid. Yuri stands her ground, the wind whipping her hair. Her eyes glow blue as she dares him to try. A storm of golden projectiles rains down upon her. The two opposing forces are about to meet in a cataclysmic clash. Yuri summons a colossal wall of ice to meet the assault head-on. He declares her petty tricks are officially over. He unleashes a massive dragon of pure golden energy. The attack slams into her defenses, the ice beginning to crack. But she meets his power with a cold rage of her own. She calls upon a power that will swallow everything. Suddenly the air grows cold and snow begins to fall. A mother and daughter notice the unseasonable weather. They look up in confusion as the flurries increase. Soon the entire neighborhood is blanketed in white. Back in the barrier, Yuri's breath turns to mist. His golden dragon is now frozen solid in a block of ice. She has trapped his ultimate attack in a colossal icy fist. The once unstoppable force is now completely neutralized. She walks calmly through the winter she created. His power is trapped, a monument to his failure. She lands gracefully on top of her icy creation. The branch chief finds himself trapped within the ice. He struggles, demanding to know who she really is. Yuri forms a blade of pure ice in her hand. He can't comprehend the level of power she commands. A sudden, horrifying realization dawns on him. The ice around his arm begins to shatter, taking the limb with it. She reminds him that she's the one asking the questions here. She gives him one last chance to tell her everything. A voice begins to narrate a story of death, of a journey across the endless void, and of a second chance through reincarnation. Countless souls were reborn after their lives ended, all of them arriving in this new world, Earth. Those who were once rulers in their past lives were all brought to this new world for reasons unknown. A world of concrete jungles and corporate ladders. They were forced to hide their true selves among the masses, but their immense power couldn't stay hidden forever. The governments of the world officially called it fake news. But behind closed doors, a secret hunt had already begun. Those who were discovered were branded as public enemies. The native humans of this world were physically weak, but they were organized, disciplined, and heavily armed. Their modern weapons proved to be a serious threat. The reincarnators found themselves on the defensive. They were forced to use their powers just to survive, and so old enemies began to form new alliances. The combined might of magic and martial arts was unleashed. Against modern armies, they were a force of nature. The organized groups could hold their own in the conflict. And from these battles, a new elite began to emerge. The strongest among them set their sights on world domination. Of course they did. They began to gather followers to build their new empires. But old grudges from past lives died hard. Many of these fledgling groups quickly fell apart. The branch chief finishes his story, still trapped in ice. He explains how these groups now rule from the shadows. Yuri asks just how secret their existence really is. He tells her only a select few know the truth. But Yuri has heard enough of his history lesson. She offers him a quick end as thanks for the information. Elsewhere, the localized snowstorm has become the talk of the town. Their mother recounts the strange weather on the phone, while their little sister Yuna enjoys a surprise snow day. Yuna sings a happy song as she plays in the sudden snowfall. Her tune is cut short by the sight of her sister's magical barrier. A figure begins to step out from the swirling blue energy. Yuri emerges, only to find her little sister has seen everything. She panics, worried she's just exposed her secret identity. But Yuna's eyes are filled with pure wonder, not fear. She runs to her big sister, overjoyed by the magical display. With stars in her eyes, she asks if Yuri is a real-life fairy. Yuri awkwardly plays along, confirming her little sister's suspicion. A master of improvisation, clearly. She makes Yuna pinky promise to keep her fairy status a secret. The next day, Uram and Donkyu arrive at a massive concert venue. Donkyu is completely overwhelmed by the scale of the event. Uram tells his friend to wait while he slips away for a moment. But high above the crowd, they are being watched. The agents from Hunter Hall have tracked Uram to the event. Their red-haired boss confirms their target is in sight. They also take note of his unsuspecting friend, Donkyu. With their targets identified, the boss gives the order to proceed. Meanwhile, backstage, the idol group prepares for their show. They gather in the waiting room for the group Fairy. Their manager gives them a last-minute high-energy pep talk. The members try to relax before heading out on stage. But one of them notices their lead singer, Yerion, is missing. The scene cuts to a high balcony overlooking the empty stadium. So Yerion stands alone, lost in thought before her performance. She seems to be contemplating something important. But her focus is broken when she senses a familiar energy. She looks up to the stadium roof, spotting the figures from Hunter Hall. A sudden flash of power erupts from their position. She recognizes their movements, a look of shock on her face. A massive blast of energy erupts from the rooftop. Uram waits by the entrance, certain he's in the right place. But he wonders why his new friend hasn't shown up yet. He starts to get seriously annoyed with Donkyu's tardiness. Unbeknownst to him, Donkyu has been captured. The Hunter Hall agents have taken him to a nearby rooftop. They plan to use the boy as bait for their real target. But their plan is interrupted by an unexpected voice. The red-haired boss turns, surprised by the intrusion. Yerion tells them to release her fan and get lost. A bold move for a pop star. The agent's power flares. He's found another reincarnator to capture. Down below, the concert doors are opening, but Uram waits. He's getting seriously ticked off that Donkyu is late. Suddenly, he feels a familiar spark of energy in the air. He looks up, sensing two powerful forces clashing nearby. The former heavenly demon knows this is no ordinary fight, but he hesitates, not wanting to deal with Yuri's inevitable lecture. He tries to ignore it, tapping his foot impatiently, but his instincts are screaming at him to investigate. On the rooftop, the battle has already reached its conclusion. Yerion stands victorious over the defeated Hunter Hall agents. Uram finally gives in, leaping across the city rooftops. As he gets closer, he sees something that makes his eyes widen. His friend Donkyu is cowering on the ground. Uram lands, placing himself between his friend and the idol. He checks on Donkyu, relieved to find he's only fainted. He confronts the girl, who claims she was just saving the boy. Yerion looks at him with a knowing, confident smile. Uram recognizes her from the video Donkyu showed him, and he has to admit, she's even more striking in person. He cuts right to the chase, asking if she's one of his reincarnated followers. But she's not playing along, demanding he state his own identity first. Surrounded by her golden aura, she scoffs at the constant stream of challengers. She recognizes him as a friend of the boy she just saved, and offers him one last chance to walk away from this fight. Take his friend and leave now, and she'll graciously let him live. Uram's demonic energy flares, impressed by her audacity. He warns her that he doesn't pull his punches, even for a woman. A truly progressive mindset. She gives a cryptic smile, questioning if that's what she even is. Without another word, Uram charges forward, closing the distance. The two reincarnators rush to meet each other in a blur of motion. Their fists connect, unleashing a shockwave of red and gold energy. Her hand stops his powerful blow dead in its tracks. They're locked in a stalemate, a pure contest of strength. Uram thinks he's found an opening in her defense, but she proves him wrong, sending him flying with a powerful strike. He skids across the rooftop, struggling to absorb the impact. She mocks his earlier confidence, asking if that's all it took to knock him back. Uram looks down, genuinely surprised by the force of her blow. He smirks, admitting she's stronger than he thought and it's time to get serious. Yerion looks absolutely delighted by this turn of events. She cracks her knuckles, thrilled to finally have a proper warm-up. Uram feels a familiar thrill, a battle lust he hasn't felt in years. The two warriors share a look of mutual, battle-crazed excitement. He leaps into the air, preparing to bring his full power down on her. He unleashes his attack, daring her to block his full-force assault. She meets his flurry of blows with a calm, practiced defense, but she's shocked by the force, feeling it through her protective chi. She stomps her foot, grounding herself for a powerful counter. With a swift kick, she calls out his desperation. He taunts her, asking if she's having trouble breathing. His demonic energy tightens its grip around her throat, but instead of fear, he's met with a confident, knowing smirk. Urim realizes with a jolt that he's just walked into a trap. She stomps her foot, channeling a surge of golden energy, and uses his own momentum against him in a powerful counter kick. She winks, declaring she's found the opening she was waiting for. A devastating blow connects, sending him flying across the rooftop. The impact is powerful enough to shatter his concentration. He's launched backward, completely caught off guard by her strength. The shockwave of their clash echoes across the city skyline. He crashes into the concrete, the impact cracking the ground beneath him. As he looks up, a shocking realization begins to dawn on him. Yurien stands over him, her power radiating with calm confidence. She's clearly enjoying this. He recognizes her technique, the legendary diamond body divine art. She tells him he's strong, but that technique belongs to only one person. A vision of a massive warrior appears behind her. Sangu Wang, the fourth protector. She offers him a chance to run, but Urim finally understands who he's facing. He remembers the man who mastered external arts through sheer will, a warrior so dedicated he waited 400 days just for a chance to fight him. That man was Sanguang, the foolish giant. He recalls their legendary duel, a clash of titans, a battle that raged on without any sign of stopping. It was a fight to the death, a true test of wills. He remembers the fierce, relentless exchange of blows. The battle only ended when he pushed himself beyond the brink of death. After a grueling fight, he finally defeated the seemingly unstoppable warrior, and in that moment, Sanguang became his final, most loyal guardian. A demon in battle, but a man with a surprisingly innocent smile. He was the one who always stood faithfully by his side. He asks if she's really Sanguang, questioning her new look. Urim is genuinely baffled by what's become of his loyal guardian. She's impressed he was able to figure out her true identity. Her golden aura flares as she prepares for round 2. She declares that now that he knows, she can't just let him leave. But Urim has had enough of this game, his patience worn thin. His demonic energy erupts, deciding it's time for a proper lesson. He unleashes the legendary heavenly demon divine art. Sanguang is stunned, recognizing the power instantly. He prepares the first form, a spectral dragon coiling behind him, and unleashes the fallen dragon fist, a devastating downward strike. Her eye reflects the attack. She knows this technique belongs to her master. A wide, almost manic grin spreads across her face. She powers up, saying this brings back some fond memories. With a furious battle cry, she meets his attack head-on. The two fists collide in a cataclysmic explosion of power. She struggles to hold back the immense force of his technique. The shockwave sends Urim flying backward through the air. He lands hard, the impact shattering the rooftop beneath him. He stands, battered and bruised, his suit in tatters. He realizes his new body can't handle the strain of his old power. But his attention is drawn to the aftermath of their clash. He sees his opponent face down on the concrete. She formally greets him, bowing her head to the professor. Urim stands over her, telling his loyal guardian to rise. She looks up with a sly, knowing smile, and then breaks into a massive, joyful grin, overjoyed to be reunited. Urim scolds her for smiling when she didn't even recognize him. She insists she knew all along, grabbing him in her excitement. She explains her new form is simple, she just reincarnated as a woman. As one does. She explains that in this life, she grew into a peerless beauty. So she became an idol, a perfect way to find scattered followers. And attract old enemies, apparently. She insists Urim should be praising her, since the plan clearly worked. She reveals another of their old comrades also found her, Cheon Hogwi. Urim is stunned, demanding to know where this warrior is now. But Sanguang hasn't seen him since their brief meeting in China. She pulls out a letter Hogwi left for the professor. Urim takes the note, wondering why his follower is so dramatic. The letter begins by wishing him well and calling Sanguang a fool. Urim has to admit, the assessment isn't entirely wrong. Sanguang just giggles, completely proving the letter's point. Urim nods in agreement. Hogwi always had excellent judgment. The letter warns that other reincarnators are organized and powerful, forcing Hogwi to leave and train. This confirms Urim's worst fears about these new organizations. He glances at the defeated agents. He's already had a taste of Hunter Hall. He crushes the letter, realizing the world is full of new threats. And just as Yuri warned, the people he cares about could be in danger. Sangwang asks what he'll do now, but she has a question of her own. She asks if he managed to defeat the Ice Witch in their final battle. She remembers her own death, unable to rest with their mission incomplete. She asks hopefully if their cult finally unified the world. Urim can't bring himself to answer, the truth a little too complicated. But his thoughts are interrupted by a sudden red glow on his hand. He realizes the ring his sister gave him is activating, a magical artifact designed to detect danger and allow instant travel. He immediately fears something has happened to Yuri. He wonders if Hunter Hall attacked her, but knows she wouldn't fall easily. Then a far worse possibility enters his mind. They targeted his family. He tells Sangwang he's leaving, no time for explanations. Entrusting Donkyu to her care, he teleports away in a flash of light. The ring's warning triggers a memory of Yuri fighting a skeletal monster. He teleports back to his quiet suburban neighborhood. He appears in his room, ready for whatever threat awaits. But his body aches, the strain of his last fight taking its toll. He sees a swirling blue portal, a remnant of his sister's magic. Without hesitation, he reaches through the dimensional tear. He emerges into a strange, star-filled dimension. He finds Yuri locked in battle with a massive skeletal reaper. She struggles against the creature, recognizing it as the Reaper. Urim is stunned, questioning why such a powerful being is here. The colossal figure looms over them both, a harbinger of death. It raises its massive scythe, preparing a final lethal strike. Yuri dodges backward, narrowly avoiding the deadly blade. Furious, she gathers a shard of ice, ready to counterattack. But the Reaper easily deflects her magic with its weapon. Her powerful ice magic shatters against its unholy steel. She realizes with a jolt that this foe is far stronger than she thought. The monster pins her to the ground, its power overwhelming. It prepares to deliver the final blow, calling her a witch, but a sudden impact sends the creature flying backward. Yuri falls, struck by a stray shard of her own shattered ice. Urim screams out, his voice filled with rage and concern. She collapses to the ground, wounded and vulnerable. Urim rushes forward, his protective instincts taking over. He intercepts the Reaper, unleashing his demonic power. He prepares the first form, his eyes glowing with red energy, and unleashes the fallen comet fist directly at the monster. He lands only to find his sister sitting up, looking completely fine, and a little annoyed. She demands to know why he's interfering in her fight. Urim is speechless, asking what she means after he just saved her. Priorities, Yuri. Priorities. Urim remembers this creature, the Reaper, gatekeeper of the ice castle. Yuri calmly explains she has a contract with this monster. She summoned it to protect their house. Urim is not a fan of this plan. She then has the audacity to blame the whole thing on him. She explains another reincarnator came looking for him, and that his constant need to pick fights is what drew them here. He has to admit, now that their location is compromised, they need protection. But their bickering has thoroughly annoyed their new house guest. Urim reminds her he just saved her from that very same house guest. The Reaper roars, furious at being completely ignored by two teenagers. He vows to end them both, but Yuri just tells Urim to handle it. She begins a ritual, telling him to stay back and not interfere. He looks back, the damage from his fight with Sangwang still fresh. He realizes his body is still reeling from his earlier battle. This is no mere thug. He'll have to go all out to win. His demonic energy flares as Yuri gathers her own power behind him. She calls upon the spirits of winter, preparing a powerful spell. Urim knows he just needs to buy her some time to finish casting. He prepares the fourth form of his art as the Reaper charges in, unleashing the Sky Dragon Descent, a technique of immense power. The Reaper is caught completely off guard by the scale of the attack. Pushing his body to its limit, he tells his sister to finish the job. Her eyes glow with power as she unleashes her icicle sword. Colossal blades of ice rain down, piercing the Reaper from all sides. She descends, ready to deliver the final decisive blow. With the battle won, she calmly declares that it's over. She walks across the frozen battlefield she created. They stand over the defeated monster, pinned by her magic. She places a hand on his shoulder, telling him the fight is done. But the strain is too much, and Urim collapses to the ground. Yuri looks down, a flicker of concern on her face. Urim lies on the ground, his body racked with pain. She recognizes the signs of his power running wild. She reflects that his reckless, warmongering nature hasn't changed at all, and coldly suggests it might be better for everyone if he just died here. Sibling love, folks. The Reaper begins to narrate his own long, tragic story. He was once a death god, summoned by the Ice Witch herself. She was immediately disappointed to have summoned the 53rd ranked demon. The Reaper was, to put it mildly, deeply offended by this mortal's insolence, but she cut him off, explaining the rules of their contract. The loser becomes the winner's slave until one of them is destroyed. He accepted the challenge, ready to teach her a lesson. And so the duel began, and he lost. Spectacularly. As her new slave, he was tasked with guarding her ice castle. His days were spent fending off intruders from other worlds and repelling the Imperial forces sent to destroy her. But it was a boring existence. His opponents were far too weak. To make matters worse, his new master wouldn't even speak to him. She would just ignore his attempts to start a conversation. Her only response was an icy stare and a cold dismissal. She warned him to stop bothering her or face the consequences. He believed he only had to endure it until her mortal life ended. But 1,000 years later, he was still fighting the same battles. He began to wonder why the witch simply refused to die. He realized she had surpassed the limits of a normal human. But while he lived in resignation, a new challenger appeared. The heavenly demon, leading his cult, marched to her frozen domain. His reason was simple. There cannot be two rulers in one world. He saw the witch as an equal, another anomaly in the world. But the problem, as he would soon find out, was that she was just too strong. The Reaper explains that her sheer power offended the heavenly demon. He fought to protect his master, but was defeated and sent away. Back in his own world, he couldn't forget the shame of his defeat. He trained relentlessly, vowing to never lose to a human again. And then, in this new life, he lost again. So much for that vow. He can't believe he was defeated by the same human twice. He tries to argue the contract is void, but Yuri quickly shuts him down. The once feared death god is now an adorable, obedient puffball. As Yuri tends to her brother, the Reaper finds the whole situation bizarre. He's shocked to learn the heavenly demon is now the witch's twin. He notes that Uram's warlike nature hasn't changed one bit. Yuri gives her new minion a look that promises swift re-education. The Reaper quickly gets the message and quiets down. He watches as she uses her frost magic to stabilize Uram's energy. Her healing should prevent any permanent damage to his core. The Reaper can't believe he's seeing the witch save her mortal enemy. But her bedside manner involves kicking him right off the couch. The two siblings take a moment to recover from their ordeal. Uram complains about being sore, earning a sharp rebuke from his sister. He confirms Hunter Hall found them, and Yuri blames his recklessness. Uram just smirks while Yuri laments her lost peace and quiet. All she wants is a normal life, but trouble keeps finding her. Uram seems to finally understand her desire for normalcy. Yuri stands, her expression hardening with a new resolve. Uram agrees, declaring it's time for them to go on the offensive. But Yuri cuts him off, revealing she already has a plan. She officially declares him her subordinate, ranked number 2. The Reaper proudly takes his place as subordinate number 1. Uram is less than thrilled with his new job title, but a subtle flash of magic reminds him who's in charge. Yuri demonstrates her authority with a rather hands-on approach. He vows revenge, but she's more concerned with him using the proper title. The Reaper watches as Yuri's new big sister routine terrifies Uram. She reminds him of the new power dynamic, a far cry from their old rivalry. Yuri lays out their first mission, find a high-ranking traitor in Hunter Hall. Uram scoffs because traitors with intel just fall out of the sky, right? As if on cue, a car pulls up outside their home. A stylish visitor steps out onto the pavement. A blonde woman runs toward the house, excitedly calling out for Uram, but she's met at the gate by a very unimpressed Yuri. The visitor asks for Uram, while Yuri silently judges his choice of friends. Yuri offers a less than warm welcome, leaving the girl to decide. The visitor cheerfully follows, completely oblivious to Yuri's icy demeanor. The Reaper senses a powerful aura from their new guest. He confirms to Yuri that this visitor is another reincarnator. Yuri's eyes glow, her suspicion now fully confirmed. The newcomer turns to see a very intimidating welcoming committee. Yuri demands to know who she is, her own power flaring in response. The visitor powers up, recognizing Yuri as the legendary Ice Witch. She prepares for battle, ready to defend her lord. She declares her intent to settle an old score right here and now. Yuri's own power flares, annoyed by this constant stream of trouble. She decides to end this confrontation quickly and decisively. She erects a massive barrier, sealing them off from the outside world. Her opponent seems thrilled by the chance for an all-out fight. The battle begins with a powerful blast of golden energy. She unleashes her full power, aiming for a swift and decisive victory. But her attack is intercepted by an unseen blade. Her fist is stopped just inches from its target. She looks on in disbelief, her attack completely neutralized. The Reaper's massive scythe intercepts the golden fist. His skeletal hand holds her back with surprising strength. Sanguang is furious, demanding to know why he interfered. She stomps her foot, unleashing a wave of pure power, and tells the Reaper to stay out of her fight. But Yuri has already prepared her own counterattack. She recognizes Sanguang's skill and decides she's too dangerous to live. Sanguang just smirks, always ready for a good time. Yuri accepts the challenge, her expression cold and determined. A massive shard of ice hurtles toward its target, but a small voice cries out, begging them to stop. Yuri is horrified to see her little sister Yuna has appeared. The child is caught directly in the path of the two attacks. Sanguang is stunned by the sudden appearance of a child. Yuri desperately tries to pull back her magic, screaming Yuna's name. The barrier shatters, the magical battle suddenly over. Later, Uram arrives home, completely unaware of the chaos. He notices a new pair of shoes, wondering if Yuri made a friend. His mother greets him, telling him his own friend is visiting. She's absolutely thrilled. He's friends with a celebrity. Uram is just confused. He enters to find a bizarrely domestic scene. Yuri, Yuna, and Sanguang. Uram and his mother are both stunned by the revelation. Sanguang flexes, boasting about her passionate greeting with the witch. She muses that she never expected the Ice Witch to be his older sister. Yuri admits to herself that she doesn't like the girl, but recognizes her power and knows she'll be a useful ally. Even if, as Yuri concludes, she is a complete idiot. Uram can only watch as his loyal guardian fawns over his new family. Sanguang is moved that her once lonely master now has a home. She bursts into tears of joy while Uram finds this whole reunion exhausting. The mother is confused, but Yuri quickly covers for her brother's strange comment. Sanguang thanks the mother, who happily invites her to stay. Uram is not amused. A sign on Uram's door demands that visitors knock first. Inside, the three reincarnators hold an impromptu meeting. Sanguang proudly announces she's secured a Hunter Hall executive. Uram and Yuri can only stare, completely baffled by this development. She explains she found a fan with strong energy and confirmed his identity. Yuri is skeptical, but Sanguang reveals she brought him with her. And by brought him, she means he's waiting in a limo outside. As one does, a man in a suit introduces himself as Kim Mujin, a Hunter Hall executive. He explains he only came as a favor to the idol, questioning their motives. Yuri cuts to the chase, declaring her intent to destroy his organization. Mujin is stunned into silence by her bold proclamation. He scoffs, warning them that Hunter Hall has at least 30 masters, but he has no idea who he's talking to. The Heavenly Demon and the Ice Witch. The man's face drains of color as he hears their legendary titles. He reveals his own past life as a monk from the Shaolin Temple. A flashback shows his ascetic life of endless training. So naturally, in this life, he chose money and luxury. A man of culture. Yuri concludes he's an idiot, but at least he's an honest one. Mujin admits that Hunter Hall has become a problem for him, too. They blackmail him for money and constantly order him around. He offers them a deal. Destroy Hunter Hall, and he'll be their ally. Yuri accepts, demanding every piece of intel he has. He details a vast criminal empire hiding behind a corporate facade. Their target is clear, the trading company that serves as the headquarters. Uram is ready to charge in now, but Yuri holds him back. She explains that a frontal assault is too risky. They need a stealthier plan. Mujin agrees, adding that they must avoid harming innocent civilians. He reveals the perfect opportunity, an upcoming board meeting for all key members. A few days later, they arrive at the Hunter Hall headquarters. Uram and Yuri stand before the tower, ready to settle the score. He's ready to crush them all in one go, but Yuri insists on a more subtle approach, starting with the cameras. A flash of blue energy shorts out the first security device. She carefully disables their surveillance as they approach. They reach the entrance of the corporate fortress, but their infiltration is interrupted by a sudden phone call. Their mother needs Yuri to watch Yuna for just an hour. Yuri hangs up, annoyed by this very normal parental request. She orders Uram to wait quietly until she gets back. He agrees, but she knows that look all too well. With a final warning, she teleports away in a flash of blue light. Uram is left alone, his patience already wearing thin. He clenches his fist, unable to stand the thought of waiting. He decides he can handle this little mission all by himself. What could go wrong? He puts on a friendly face, greeting the security guard. He casually mentions the executive meeting, playing his part perfectly. With the guard's back turned, he makes his move. He launches himself into the air with a powerful leap, and proceeds to run straight up the side of the glass skyscraper. He reaches the rooftop in a matter of seconds. He lands gracefully, ready to begin his solo assault. He finds a rooftop access door, checking to see if he was followed. Confident in his stealth, he slips inside the building. He heads down a stairwell, deeper into the enemy's lair. He walks through a sterile hallway, searching for his target. He notices an open door leading to the security room. He steps inside, realizing he's found the perfect vantage point. He recalls Mujin's intel. The meeting is on the 18th floor. He peers down, searching for the meeting room. And there it is, a whole boardroom of bad guys. But his stealth mission is cut short by security. The guards are confused. The building was supposed to be locked down. Urim knows if they escape, Yuri will have his head. He decides to handle this the old-fashioned way. A single, swift blow takes out the first guard. So much for a quiet infiltration. The second guard can only stare in shock. He demands to know who this intruder is. In a panic, he lunges for the emergency alarm. Urim grabs him, annoyed by the rookie mistake. But it's too late, the alarm begins to blare. The executives are startled by the sudden siren. They wonder if a rat has managed to slip inside. The branch chief orders them to capture the intruder immediately. An agent sprints out of the room to investigate. Urim races through the halls, his cover completely blown. He's intercepted by a group of Hunter Hall agents. The scarred leader tells his partner to call for backup, but he's confident he won't actually need it. Famous last words? He lunges forward, ready to end this quickly, but Urim moves like a blur, taking them all down. The force of his attack sends them flying. The remaining few charge in, screaming in fury. Urim stands his ground, ready for round 2. The female agent prepares a support spell from the back. Her eyes are filled with a fierce determination. But Urim is too fast, taking out her comrade instantly. He cracks his knuckles, glad they're putting up a fight. With the leader pinned, he hums a familiar victorious tune. His victory tune is interrupted by a very familiar phone call. He stands over the wreckage of his quiet waiting, trying to sound innocent. On the other end, Yuri is deep in her own mission, babysitting. Urim insists he's been waiting patiently, the picture of obedience. But Yuri is immediately suspicious of the echo in his voice. He blames it on bad reception, inching closer to his real target. He's reached the boardroom, the final destination of his solo mission. He promises to stay put, his hand already on the door handle. With a final dismissal, he hangs up the phone and immediately kicks the door off its hinges. So much for stealth. The entire Hunter Hall leadership is stunned by his grand entrance. Urim ends the call, his expression shifting from annoyed brother to conqueror. He calmly addresses the branch chief at the head of the table, but the red-haired boss steps forward, telling his leader to stand down. He volunteers to handle this arrogant intruder himself. Urim just smirks, ready for another warm-up. He taunts the man, reminding him of his recent defeat. The boss is furious, claiming he was just caught off guard. A likely story. Urim cracks his knuckles, ready to teach him a proper lesson. But the branch chief has a different plan in mind. He warns his subordinate not to interfere with his friend. The red-haired boss can only stare, completely confused. The branch chief steps forward, his demeanor suddenly calm. He offers a formal apology for his men's earlier mistake. Urim isn't buying it, knowing this is far beyond a simple apology. He holds up the defeated agents who apologize for their failure. The branch chief tells them to rise, showing surprising mercy. He admits that Urim was simply out of their league. He smiles, finally acknowledging the power of their intruder. He identifies Urim as the one who defeated their number 2, Gitai. He smiles, finally acknowledging the power of their intruder. The branch chief explains Gitai was a comrade from his past life, a spirit master strong enough to fight dragons. Urim connects the dots. That was the kid his sister fought. He asks if this is about revenge. The branch chief tells him to be patient, launching into a well-rehearsed speech. He asks if Urim has ever wondered why the strongest beings were all reincarnated here. He then throws some serious shade at his own men, noting some defective ones slipped through. With a grand gesture, he reveals his personal theory on the matter. He believes this world is a stage for a divine tournament. The one who defeats all other reincarnators will become the new god of all space-time. Of course, that's the theory. He extends a hand, offering Urim a place in his grand design. He promises that when he ascends, Urim will be worthy to stand by his side. He dismisses his fallen comrade, saying Gitai simply reached his limit. But Urim, he insists, has the qualifications to be his right-hand man. Urim clenches his fists, thoroughly unimpressed by the recruitment pitch. His eyes narrow. He's heard this kind of talk before. He notes that in his long life, no one who called themselves a god was ever normal. And he declares he doesn't serve anyone weaker than himself as his demonic energy flares. The branch chief sighs, realizing that words aren't going to be enough. His own golden power erupts, stating that talent requires effort. He takes a firm step forward, ready for a practical demonstration. He'll show Urim exactly why he should join his cause. Urim meets his challenge, his red energy swirling as he prepares to strike. The branch chief smiles, utterly convinced of his own divine destiny. The two opposing forces, red and gold, are about to collide. Urim's fist is surrounded by his demonic power, ready to end this. The branch chief looks on, his golden aura flaring in response. The two stand facing each other, their powers crackling in the air. Uram looks at his bleeding hand and offers a surprising apology. The branch chief smirks, offering to accept if Uram gets on his knees. A truly terrible idea. Uram grins, admitting he was wrong. This might actually be fun. Uram throws the first punch, his demonic energy flaring. But the branch chief easily blocks the incoming strike. He counters with a flurry of blows, telling Uram to give up. Uram notes that for a quiet guy, he sure leaves a lot of openings. He finds one of those openings, landing a solid hit to the face. The branch chief stumbles back, completely caught off guard. He realizes with a shock that Uram's power is growing mid-fight. Deciding to end this, he summons a massive fire demon. He gathers his power into a single, devastating punch. The flaming fist barrels toward Uram with incredible force. But Uram calls the attack too slow, easily countering it. He uses the man's own momentum to throw him across the room. The other executives can only watch in stunned silence. Uram offers to teach him a proper lesson in the heavenly demon divine art. The branch chief's eyes widen, finally recognizing the familiar energy. Uram prepares the first form, the falling phoenix fist. The blow connects, and the chief realizes who he's truly facing. The self-proclaimed god is sent crashing to the floor. He lies defeated, admitting his grand dream was a foolish one. He remembers his past life, facing this very same overwhelming power. Back in the present, he struggles to his feet, battered but not broken. He knows he must kill Uram before his own men recognize their old master. He orders everyone to attack, but his subordinates hesitate. Furious, he screams at them, realizing Uram is still weakened. The agents finally charge, knowing this is their only chance. Uram mocks him for hiding behind his men and prepares his fourth move. But the strain on his body is becoming too much to bear. He realizes his internal injuries from the Reaper fight are still there. He blocks a heavy mace, the impact jarring his already weakened body. For the first time, Uram realizes he might actually be in danger. Back at home, Yuri is on babysitting duty, looking less than thrilled. She knows her brother is up to something, and she's already planning the lecture. The quiet suburban home is about to be a lot less quiet. Her ring begins to glow, confirming Uram ignored her and went in alone. Just then, their mother arrives, completely unaware of the impending chaos. She even brought cake, a sweet gesture before her daughter has to go clean up a mess. Yuri quickly makes an excuse, saying she has to meet a friend. With a final word of caution from her mom, she rushes out the door. Meanwhile, Uram reflects on his past life, a time when he was untouchable. But that overconfidence has clearly come back to haunt him. He admits that in his weakened state, he carelessly let his guard down. He knows he has to fight his way out of this encirclement. His only hope is to stall until his true power can recover. But his opponents aren't exactly the patient type. He counters a sword strike with a swift, disabling kick. The agents rally, hoping to overwhelm him with sheer numbers. The swordsman comes at him again, his fury palpable. Uram blocks the blow, his body straining under the pressure. But even injured, he declares they are nothing more than trash to him. He follows through with a powerful, grounding stomp. He realizes, however, that there are simply too many of them. As he takes down another agent, he regrets not listening to his sister. A truly rare moment of self-awareness. Surrounded by fallen foes, he calls out the branch chief for a real fight. The chief just mocks him, ordering his men to press the attack. The remaining agents charge forward, ready to land the final blow. Uram braces himself, his demonic energy flaring for one last stand. But a sudden wave of ice freezes the entire room, stopping the attack cold. Yuri appears behind him, demanding to know why he didn't wait. She scolds him for struggling, while he blames his internal injuries. She tells him to handle it, her own icy power ready to back him up. Uram feels his power surge, absorbing the energy of his fallen foes. He declares he was just getting started anyway. Yuri prepares a spell of her own, her expression cold and focused. The two siblings become a whirlwind of red and blue destruction. The branch chief can only watch as his forces are completely dismantled. Soon, he's the only one left standing. A familiar position for him, it seems. Uram informs the little boss that it's his turn now. The chief is furious, blaming Yuri for ruining his perfect plan. He decides to unleash his final form, a massive fire demon. If he's going down, he's taking everyone with him. But Uram just scoffs at his last-ditch effort. He unleashes the third form, a devastating wave of demonic power. The attack connects, overwhelming the self-proclaimed god. Yuri tells Uram to end it, but he seems to hesitate. She reminds him they can't afford to leave any loose ends. Uram decides on a more permanent solution than simple defeat. He'll sever his connection to his power, making him a normal human. The once mighty leader is left completely powerless. And just like that, the threat of Hunter Hall is neutralized. With the danger gone, Their peaceful daily lives can finally resume. Even the school bullies seem to have turned over a new leaf. Urim proudly shows off proof of his meeting with the famous idol. Yuri reflects that things should finally be quiet for a while. Urim waxes poetic about the importance of a peaceful life. Donkyu is just confused. His friend asks about a sudden trip to Japan. Urim realizes this will be his first school trip in this new life. Soon the day of the trip arrives. The students settle in for their flight to Japan. They arrive in Osaka, ready to explore a new country. Urim admits the trip is more fun than he expected, a rare moment of normalcy for the former demon lord. Donkyu snaps a photo of the two siblings. Yuri looks thrilled, as usual. They stop to try some of the local street food. Donkyu is amazed by Urim's fluent Japanese, unaware it's Yuri's magic. But their sightseeing is cut short when Donkyu needs to find a restroom. Yuri gives him directions, and they agree to meet up later. Elsewhere, at a quiet traditional shrine, a black car pulls up to the gate. A man in a suit steps out, his expression grim. He's greeted by an older man in monastic robes. The visitor is led into a private chamber. He's handed a file containing information on a target. His mission is simple, a quiet, clean elimination. In another room, a scarred leader addresses his subordinate. He confirms the hooded assassin has received his orders. The mission must be handled without a single mistake. The assassin accepts and vanishes into the shadows. Meanwhile, Urim is having some navigational difficulties. He realizes he's completely lost in the city streets. But a sudden murderous aura catches his attention. He looks toward a nearby building, sensing the disturbance. He follows his instincts down a narrow alleyway. He can feel the energy here is completely different. With a determined look, he decides to investigate. He stumbles upon a grim scene, an assassin and his victim. The man from the shrine lies on the ground. His mission failed. The ninja prepares to erase all traces of his work, but he stops, sensing he is no longer alone. Urim kicks open a nearby door, making a grand entrance. He lands firmly, ready to confront the killer. But he's completely stunned by what he's just walked into. The assassin is shocked, realizing Urim is another reincarnator. Meanwhile, the school trip is preparing to leave without him. Donkyu looks around, worried about his missing friend. The teacher urges him to get on the bus before they depart. Back in the alley, the assassin demands to know who sent him. Urim plays it cool, claiming to be just a concerned citizen. The assassin lunges forward without another word. He declares that all witnesses must be eliminated. Urim dodges, realizing negotiations are officially over. He decides to use a more persuasive form of communication. A single blow sends the killer flying across the room. The impact sends dust and debris raining from the ceiling. Urim asks if he's ready to have a proper conversation now. The assassin struggles to his feet, clearly outmatched. In a desperate move, he unleashes a volley of shurikens. Urim is momentarily surprised by the sudden counter, but he weaves through the projectiles with practiced ease. The assassin has no time for this. His mission is compromised. Urim easily blocks his sword, mocking the predictable attack. The assassin creates some distance with a powerful stomp and makes a swift exit through a nearby window. Urim smirks. At least the guy knows when to run. He decides a little chase might actually be fun. The assassin leaps across the rooftops, vowing to be pursued. He contacts his allies, planning to lure Urim into a trap. Urim arrives at a traditional estate, impressed by his speed. He decides to follow the trail his opponent left behind. He briefly worries about the trouble he'll be in back at school. He looks around the compound, noting the strange, demonic decor. The former heavenly demon stands in the courtyard, sensing the eerie silence. He looks up, calling for them to come on out. Dozens of assassins drop from the rooftops, surrounding him. Their leader steps forward, asking which group he belongs to. Urim smirks, declining to answer so they don't run away. The leader dismisses him as a rookie and orders the attack. The masked warriors charge forward, ready to overwhelm him. Urim accepts the challenge, ready to settle this with fists. He stands his ground as a flurry of blades descends on him. Two assassins leap into the air for a coordinated strike. His demonic energy flares. He thinks this will be fun. A truly terrible vacation choice. Back at the hotel, the school trip continues without him. Yuri is annoyed that her brother is missing and not picking up. She looks down at the ring, which is glowing red with warning. She tells Donkyu he's nearby and she'll go get him. With a quick excuse, she rushes out of the room. She laments her lost piece as the ring activates her portal. Meanwhile, Urim is a whirlwind of red energy and fury. A chain weapon flies through the air, aimed to restrain him. He catches it mid-flight, wrapping it around his arm. Two more assassins see their opening and move in for the kill. The leader declares that their impressive spirit ends here. Urim's hand bleeds as he tightens his grip on the chain. He uses the chain as a weapon, disarming his attackers. The assassins are stunned by the sudden, impossible counter. He whips the chain, sending his opponents flying. The leader can't believe he slipped through their trap so easily. He orders his remaining men to press the attack relentlessly. Orim decides he's done playing and will end this in one strike. He prepares the second form of the heavenly demon divine art. A vortex of demonic energy erupts, consuming the entire courtyard. The leader is stunned, recognizing the impossible technique. He realizes the heavenly demon has been reincarnated. Orim asks if he's just going to stand there and watch. The man confirms he has no intention of being a spectator. He draws his blades, ready to test his old master's new form. Orim's familiar arrogance confirms they've met before. Our boy just smirks, his demonic energy flaring. He claims he's defeated too many people to remember them all. The robed man takes a single, decisive step forward. He leaps into the air, ready to see if the legend still holds up. But a flash of blue light announces an unexpected arrival. Yuri lands in the courtyard looking thoroughly confused. She wonders why her portal dropped her at a random shrine. She vows to end her brother for making her come all this way. Typical sibling road trip. But she stops, sensing the space around her is distorted. She realizes Orim is trapped inside this strange dimension. Her expression hardens with a cold, familiar resolve. A massive figure appears behind her, warning her away. His eyes glow red as he declares all intruders will be eliminated. Yuri realizes she carelessly let her guard down. The massive warrior unleashes a devastating punch. The force of the blow echoes through the courtyard. But she blocks it with a hastily summoned wall of ice. She stands, bruised but furious at the sneak attack. Her hand glows with the chilling power of winter. She promises he'll pay the price for touching her. A colossal wave of ice erupts from the ground. She declares that for ruining her school trip, he will not be forgiven.